see us outside. You see us outside, yeah, yeah.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Created Studios podcast. I'm your host with the most, Jordan Mode, and today we have a very special episode here for you today. I have been probably teasing this guy for a hot minute when it comes to people walking in the studio. We finally got him here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daniel Louise, my good friend of mine for so many years. He's a fellow Full Sail graduate. He currently works at Gibson Guitars, and we're going to talk all about that, I promise. And also one of the best musicians I've ever heard in my life. Daniel, thank you so much for coming in today to do this.
Thanks for having me, Jordan. This is so cool. You've been hyping it up. Now I'm here, ready to check it out.
Now, is the hype worth it?
It's pretty sick. It's honestly exactly what I was expecting when you said Full Sail was backing it.
Yeah.
This is the most Full Sail thing I've ever seen, it's literally the first thing I said when I walked in, that this is so Full Sail. It's
so true. He walks in and I'm like, hey man, what's going on? You're like, this is the most Full Sail thing I've ever seen. But for people who don't know you, Daniel, I want to dive a little bit deeper into what got you to where you are today. Obviously that's a long journey, but let's start from the beginning. So what got you into music, and then what made you want to pursue it?
So I guess what got me into music was just for the longest time I kept asking my parents hey, I want a drum set. Let's get me a drum set. Eventually they caved. One of my buddies was selling a drum set at a garage sale, so they bought it for me. I didn't really play it for that long, but eventually I started taking drum lessons, and then at a music school.
Nice.
My drum teacher, he eventually went on tour, so I started playing bass.
Very cool.
Which is my main instrument now. Bass is my thing.
And you absolutely slay at it.
I appreciate that. I've put in the hours for sure. But yeah, so I started playing at a music school, just playing with a bunch of people.
And where was this at?
This School of Rock.
School of Rock.
Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. Okay. Yeah. Heck yeah. I love Dallas. Just not the team. Sorry. Did I say that out loud? So you're at School of Rock, and you want to learn how to play drums, but your teacher's like, hey, I'm going on tour for a while, and now you're picking up the bass. Was that a difficult transition for you, or?
It really wasn't. I'd kind of always been interested in learning how to play guitar and bass, so I'd kind of been toying around with it just in between practices or things like that. But I had a really good understanding of rhythm and groove from playing drums for about a year. So once I got the fundamentals down on where all the notes are and how to play, it was pretty easy to kind of get the overall aspects of being a bass player all together.
Heck yeah. So now that you've picked this up, is the next step for you to go into bands, or what was the next step for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was just playing in bands, as many bands as I could, really. Just playing all the time, writing a bunch of music with a bunch of different people, and usually it's just the same people, maybe a rotating cast of one or two people, just writing a bunch of different music, saying we're in a bunch of different bands, things like that. But yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Just being so busy, just consuming anything, really.
Yeah.
Just trying to play as much music as possible, as many different types of music as possible. It's the way, just being so busy with fun stuff.
Heck yeah, man. And so then when you take all that together, then we flash forward to you wanting to go to Full Sail. What made you want to go to Full Sail?
So middle of high school, my older sister, she bought me my first audio interface and some it came with a cheap microphone and some software. It was a PreSonus Studio One.
Oh yeah.
That was what I cut my teeth in the early days, which I love it. Great software. I would still use it to this day if I didn't have anything else.
Shout out PreSonus.
Yeah, shout out PreSonus. Yeah, and so I got really into the actual creation of music, just kind of just messing around on my own, and got pretty deep into it, and just learning as much as I could from YouTube or just watching interviews with people, and then decided maybe I could do something with this. So I started looking into where could I go to school to learn how to do this, just learn more, or just be thrown into that environment. And Full Sail was one of the top schools that I could see. It was just,
Heck yeah.
It just looked so interesting to me.
See, that's kind of similar with me. Like when I graduated high school, I didn't jump right into college. I think when we first met, I was going over the whole like, yeah, I was the rock star who never knew how to press the record button, but now I'm learning how to do that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always gravitated toward when it came to Full Sail was like I just felt like so like welcomed. That was one thing that like especially from the BTS scenes when you go to do that, and then even when they're calling and trying to talk with you, see why do you want to go here? Like I'm always assuming like colleges are like we just want your money, so like how can we get you into this studio today? It's like no, it's like they're like why do you want to come to Full Sail? What makes you? What kind of path are you trying to take with this? And like they're asking a lot of the right questions.
Yeah, there was a lot of outreach from their part, really just saying like, hey, like this is the school, this is what we're gonna do, and let's just kind of figure out what your goals are and see if this is like the best way to go about it. And yeah, I don't remember who I was talking to. I don't remember her name, but I remember her being the coolest person ever. So
heck yeah,
that was awesome.
It's funny too. So like. So for people who don't know, probably most of you, maybe there's like 3 of you who are Full Sail alumni who'll know this, but first day, you and I run into each other from a mutual friend.
Yes.
And, you know, I just remember the first thing, I'm like, gosh, this guy is just the coolest dude. And like, you understood music from a level that was a little higher than most people who were just getting into Full Sail. Because let's admit it, there's a lot of younger kids, which is okay. Yeah. That's why it's there. But I instantly clicked with you because you knew music so well, and I was like, okay, this is a guy I want to be friends with. And I remember to dive in a little bit deeper when me and Daniel first started on campus, we have this little fun story called the 3 songs in 3 studios in 3 days.
Yes.
And
what was this like? Maybe like a month into Full Sail.
Just about.
Yeah. Like we'd barely known each other.
It was funny too because we started at your studio. Oh my gosh, you're the coolest.
In my apartment.
Yeah, what was that apartment complex called?
Whisper Lake.
Yeah, the coolest. Okay,
Shout out Whisper Lake.
If you're ever going to Full Sail, Whisper Lake is the place you want to stay. It's just gorgeous.
It was a great place. No complaints whatsoever.
So I walk into Daniel's apartment, and he's got this sick setup with Studio One. I remember that, and you had the awesome rigs going on, and I forget what song we were working on, but do you remember or not?
I don't remember. It was something that our buddy Jeremiah wrote.
That's right.
It was one of his tunes. We had been working on it for maybe like a week before.
Just about, yeah.
But then we pulled you in and we're like, let's just record. Let's just
have
do
fun.
This. Yeah.
And what was so funny was we do this. We go in there like, let's go try to record this. And then I think you, me, and Jeremiah ended up attending like some sort of like seminar or like lecture that was going on campus. And it was for a studio called Studio 18.
Yeah.
And I remember all 3 of us looked at each other going, oh my gosh, we need to meet these guys. And and of course, every typical Full Sail student ever, hey man, so like I'm into recording. Yeah, we know, we're here.
We're pushing the networking. Yeah. It's what you got to do.
And we're like, if you ever need a songwriter or an engineer, we'd love to come hang out. And for some reason, Studio 18 was like, you know what? We're going to take you up on that.
Yeah.
And like, so we recorded, so they're like, hey, why don't you guys show up on like, I think it was like a Saturday or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're recording at your place. We go to that lecture, and then all of a sudden, I think it was the next day. So we knew we had like a couple days before we were going to Studio 18.
Yeah.
But I think the next day you gave me a call while I was in class, and you were like, hey, how crazy would it be for you to show up to the Audio Temple tonight? And I was like, I don't think it'd be that crazy. You'd be like, okay, here's a demo. Just try to learn the best of your ability. And I remember that was the first and only time I ever got to go to the Audio Temple at Full Sail.
Yeah, really? The only time?
The only time.
Oh, dude.
Because music production, we really didn't step too much in there.
I got to spend some decent time in RA, but yeah, that was a whole wild experience. Jeremiah and I were just hanging out at my apartment writing music, like as we did. That was the thing to do when we were in Full Sail. But we got pretty close with one of the instructors, Mark.
Yep.
And
shout out to Mark.
Yeah, shout out Mark. This is the shout out podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, and he just like shot us a text saying like, hey, we had a session recording band drop out, so we need someone to come in like in 3 hours. So we just like wrote a song real fast. Pieced it together with like a progression or something that was pretty simple. It was like a bluesy song.
Yeah.
I remember. But Yeah, we got you to come in, shot you a text. You're like, yeah, I'm down.
Oh,
Like, you were
totally.
always down.
I think I had my guitar in my hand too. I was leaving class and I was like, yeah, I could learn that. I
Yeah.
was like, let's do it.
Oh, dude, I remember you sitting in the hallway learning the progression while I was tracking the scratch tracks or something like that. It was crazy.
Come on, that's the most musician thing ever, man. If you're not learning
Yeah.
your songs 5 minutes before you're going in, you're not a musician.
Right. And then, I mean, also, too, it was typical Full Sail. It was a 9 p.m. lab. So we were in the studio from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. tracking, and maybe like a month in. So we were just like getting the Full Sail experience. We're like, dude, this is awesome. Let's
It
just
really
do this
was
every day.
and every day, and we almost did do that. So, because like even after that, before we finished the story, it was like you, me, and Jeremiah were getting together all the time. You and Jeremiah more, but we were just trying to get together as much as we could to record. And so yeah, we get done. I think it was like 12 o'clock or whatever that night. We get back up. We all have class that next day, but we're all gonna meet up after this afternoon and go to Studio 18.
Yeah.
And to this day, I think you could agree with me.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably one of the most trying sessions you and I ever had.
That
but
was insane.
so we get there. Cool. What a cool studio that spot is.
It was so great. It was like this old house that they turned into like this full studio. I mean, it's a pretty typical Nashville thing.
Yeah.
Like where you've got all these houses that have just been gutted out and turned into studios, but in like just in Winter Park, it's not really the move.
that was
and this was
groundbreaking.
yeah, and what, this was almost 10 years ago
Just
now?
about, which is crazy.
That's crazy. So it was so cool, and I was 18 at the time.
Yeah.
So just seeing all that, I was like, dude, this is the life I want to be in. But,
Absolutely. And I remember you and I were just talking about like whatever we have to do to get a job here, let's do it. And
Right.
like remember the first session you and I go in, Jeremiah's in there working on some vocals, and the producer, I can't remember his name. I feel horrible for saying that, but he came up to us and goes, "Can you guys just play that rhythm that you guys were just doing? Just keep playing it." So we're thinking, okay, maybe a minute, maybe a couple minutes. We'll just keep playing this. You and I must have played that for what, 20 minutes?
yeah, while they were trying to work out vocal melodies, harmonies, things like that, and rather than have us like record a loop so they could sing along to it, we were just sitting in the control room, the two of us, just playing this progression of this song over and over
And it was like a
and
4-bar
over
loop.
again. Yeah, we were just doing a loop. It was nothing crazy. It would have been nothing for us to just throw a microphone and record it and then loop it, but it had to have been more than 20 minutes too, dude. It was crazy.
I just remember you and I were just looking at each other, just like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Well, we started doing like weird hits, weird stops and stuff too, just to keep it interesting, or it was just to like help us get through it, because
Yeah.
it was just like, it was a very fun process,
Yeah.
I guess, because they were right there in front of us, like working on the melodies, working on everything. But yeah, dude, that was a trying time. And that progression too, I remember, was something that I had written like early in high school.
Yeah.
It was a lot slower at the time, but when we had this like last minute session come up, I was like, oh, I got this, this thing. Let's work it. But yeah, dude, I played that progression so many times, I couldn't tell you the last time I played it.
it still sits in my head though. It was always like that do 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 do.
Yeah. Well, for the longest time, we were calling it the doo-doo-doo song.
The do-do-do song.
Yeah. Because they had no melody idea. It was just a lot of doo-doo-doo-doo-doos.
It's a doo-doo song. I forgot about that. Good times.
Dude, the best times. The Art of April times.
Art of
that
April.
was our project name,
Yeah.
Art of April.
And I think, is it still out there?
I don't know. I don't know if we ever actually finished recording it.
I know you guys did an EP.
We did an EP, but we never officially like released it or anything.
We got to get that out there.
I've probably got them like on my backup hard drive somewhere, but we've got to find it.
We should put that out. Even if we want to, we'll do a quick remix
yeah,
master.
Even if we gotta like re-record it too. I definitely still remember how to play it.
I'm in. I'll call Jeremiah.
He'd be down, I'm
He
sure.
would so be down. All right. Sorry, that was a trip down memory lane for y'all. So now we're in Full Sail. You're now transitioning to getting ready to leave Full Sail. You went to recording arts. You graduate. So what was like after Full Sail? What were like your decisions like before you made it to Nashville? Like what were you thinking about doing? Like what was next for you?
So after Full Sail, my girlfriend at the time, who I had met at Full Sail, who's now my wife.
Woo!
Shout out Anna. Yeah, Anna's the best. She's from New York. I was from Texas. So we kind of at the time were like, what do we want to do?
Yeah.
we decided ultimately not to go to New York with her family. So we went back to Texas with mine just based off of costs and stuff. I mean,
Fair enough.
both out of college. We had no money. So when I got to Texas, I started just kind of trying to do what I was doing before, like while I was still in high school, just playing in bands, playing music, doing the thing. I was doing a lot of recording of like my solo stuff.
Cool.
Or my wife, Anna, she's a singer. So I did some stuff for her. And then really didn't find a space for myself in Dallas. It seemed like a lot of the people I had known had moved out. The scene had kind of changed a little bit too. So we were there for about a year and a half, but ultimately kind of just didn't stumble on anything. Nothing really seemed to work out.
Yeah.
And then at the time, I had really gotten big on starting to do guitar repair.
Yeah.
And just working on my own stuff, kind of really deep diving in all of that. And then that's when the opportunity to move to Nashville and work for Gibson came up.
Heck yeah. Also, really quick, I have to say, your wife, Anna, has the greatest Instagram bio of all time. It was like, what is it? She out-charted Kanye or something like that?
She out-charted Kanye on the indie pop charts. She hates when I talk about it, but we're talking about it now. Jordan brought it up.
I'm sorry, I had to, because that was one of the first things I ever remember of Anna meeting her, is like her bio said that. I remember going, is that real, or is she just messing everybody? No, it's 100% real.
So real.
Such a good bragging right there.
She is an enigma. She would be a person to have on this podcast.
We should get her on
sure.
here. Yes, we're doing an episode with you, Anna, so shoot me a message sometime. So I remember this was a couple years ago back when you shot me the text saying, hey, I'm thinking about coming to Nashville.
You were already living here at the time,
yes.
right?
Yeah, I moved here right after Full Sail, and I remember you were hinting to the idea, you weren't sure. So was Gibson the selling factor for you to come out here? Or?
Yeah, Gibson was the selling factor because we wanted to make the move. We really liked the city when we visited, but we just weren't sure. We wanted to make sure we were making the right move.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to work in an industry that was like really like meant something to me.
Yeah.
And like guitars and music, it's in itself has been like a big part of my life. And so getting the opportunity to come here was like the full driving factor.
Heck yeah. And then basically you got that job at Gibson, and you started at USA, correct?
Yeah, I started at the main production plant. I was the repair lead for finished repairs throughout the facility.
Sweet. So like what did that entail?
For the most part, it's taking any production guitars that going through the process that had any finish defects or like any flaws, really, we'd take them and we would repair them to make them factory first quality. Very
cool. And what was I mean, like, obviously for people who don't work at Gibson or who find that like a dream job, like what was some of your takeaways from the USA plant at first?
It's a great place to work. The people there are amazing, and just being around guitars is super fun. It's like one of those things where, for me, it is still very much a production job rather than a guitar job first, but it's probably the coolest place to work.
Heck yeah, it is. Besides Creative Studios, of course. So... And then shortly, I remember you talking with me when you first started, and you were going through the USA days, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And you got the call to make the jump to what you would say is maybe your dream job or close to, which was to work.
Definitely close to it, yeah.
So and for people who don't know, Daniel, you ended up moving to R&R, which is repair and restoration. Talk a little bit about what you do at R&R.
So it's a lot of everything. It's I guess at the root cause of it is we take vintage Gibsons mostly. We do work on other stuff, but it's primarily Gibsons because we are Gibsons, and we help restore them to what they're supposed to be. We do a lot of early Gibson stuff, like late 1800s, early 1900s stuff, up to modern day. It's really anything from full restorations to just basic maintenance.
Very cool. And when you say restoration, is it like what is that? What is it for people who don't know that? What does that mean?
It is say you've got a guitar that's been sitting in an attic, crumbling and falling apart. We'll take it, we'll fix any issues, we'll get it back to fully working order.
Heck yeah. What are some of the coolest guitars you've ever gotten to work on?
For me, it's less like the coolest guitars, and it's just like the guitars that I really like.
Sure.
And like I'm a real big fan of mid 60s non-reverse Firebirds.
Oh, I love those.
And so anytime I get the opportunity to work on one, it's just like I feel like a kid again. Because I remember as a kid being like, that's like the coolest Gibson I could possibly get would be
Absolutely.
like a non-reverse Firebird. And so anytime I get one on my bench, it's just like, this is awesome.
Heck yeah, man.
And then at the shop, I primarily focus on paint and finish repair.
Okay.
So we have about 10 of us that work there, and we all kind of work as a team in certain aspects of it. But like I'll primarily do all of the finish touch up and things like that, along with another one of my coworkers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember for a brief time when I worked at Gibson, which, by the way, thank you for the introduction on that one. That was super cool years ago. I just remember the one thing I always loved about Gibson was the culture at that place. Because a lot of these companies, when you get into them, they're very... It sounds very weird, especially in the music industry, but it gets very, you know, Fortune 500, corporate America style.
Yeah.
Which you're like, really, in the music industry? But, like, Gibson always had that little element of just rock and roll to them where it's like, yeah, we may be this huge company, but we still like to have a good time.
Yeah. It's, I mean, everyone's just there to live their childhood dream of being like wanting to work in the guitar industry. I mean, most of the people that I'll talk to at work love guitars. And like you can sit there and have a conversation about guitars with anybody, really.
No matter if they're the security guard, no matter if they're the janitor or they're the top luthier in the Murphy lab. I mean, like, everybody will talk your ear off about guitars they want, guitars they've made, guitars, you know, they've played. And it's such a cool vibe there, man.
Yeah. It's a very... a lot of the employees take a lot of pride in what they do.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things where, especially for me in my department, I can take a guitar that has come in, someone sent it in because they're not happy with something or something's wrong with it, and we'll take it, we'll fix it up, we'll send it back to them, and then they'll send in like man, this is like the guitar it was when I first bought it, or this is better than a guitar that I could ever imagine. And it's just those little comments there that really kind of make it.
Absolutely. A couple years ago, I approached you with one of my guitars that I had. For the lack of better words, it is a Frankenstein Gibson SG. And the neck had broken off through a pretty horrific incident that happened to me years ago, and I could never get anyone to fix it. Daniel comes and checks it out, and without any hesitation just goes, I'm sure I could fix that. And I was like, are you sure, man? I mean, like, a lot of people have said this can't be done. He goes, it's tough, but we can make it happen. Basically, what I guess give us like a breakdown of how you diagnose what's wrong with a guitar. How do you approach fixing it? And let's say if you hit like a roadblock, like what are the things, like what are the troubleshoots you have in your head that you go right to?
So if we just want to talk about your guitar specifically,
Sure.
I can kind of walk you through the process of what I did there. So your SG, it had a break at the neck joint, like right at the body, which is pretty common with SGs just due to the design. It's a really weak point right there. And so with that, it had fully snapped, and you had someone kind of do a quick fix on it before. So with doing that, diagnosing something like that, it's a lot of not knowing, because you really don't know what the person did before you, or you don't really know what is going to react to like taking apart that repair.
Sure. So
you got to kind of be overly cautious. But it all comes down to just structural integrity, knowing that, oh, so this is what's broken. I know how I can fix that, and I know how I can secure it and maybe even make it a little bit more stable.
Very
So
cool.
like with your guitar, I completely took the neck out, which I think you even came over and watched.
I did.
You watched
I was
me take
taking
it out.
notes.
Yeah, you were like so curious, watching me struggle fighting through some like Bondo epoxy that had or something that was like
I know, I felt
stuffed
so
in
horrible.
there. It came out pretty cleanly.
You did.
But yeah, and so once I got the neck out, I essentially rebuilt all the wood around the body, rebuilt the neck tenon, reset it, and then I stabilized it with some carbon fiber rods because it was still wanting to pull a little bit. And then just did a quick little finish touch up on it. Nothing fancy.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a fun project. It took a long time. I think I had it in my apartment, and then we moved, and so I was trying to get my shop
Yeah.
set back up, and then so I had it for a long time, but
That's all right.
I think it's still up and running.
It is.
Yeah.
Actually, I used it on some recent records.
Perfect.
And honestly, you also flipped in those Gibson Customs and those pickups in there. They sound.
Yeah, I had some Gibson Custom Shop pickups from one of my old guitars that I had just kind of scrapped from parts.
Heck
so,
yeah.
I was able to give you those.
Dude, that thing purrs now. It's especially I played it on a production record recently, and I was like, I hadn't played this guitar in years, so I'm like, let me just plug it in. And I remember sitting there, and the first second I hit that first string, I instantly just had a smile. I'm like, oh, Daniel, you did so good on this.
And that's why I do it.
Yeah.
It's just helping people remember why they bought the guitars in the first place. And for me, if I'm able to take something that's broken or fix it up and bring it back to life, and then force someone to not have to be like, oh, this is broken, I can never play it again.
Yeah.
Kind of help them bring their like feelings back for their old instruments.
For sure.
It's part of the reason why I do it.
So, and would you say that was one of the hardest projects you ever work on, or did you have one that was like, I probably couldn't get it done, but you got it done?
At the time, that was probably one of the more in-depth projects.
Of course,
I worked on.
and it was me giving it to you.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, one thing we always like to say is that even the hard projects, you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
But then also, every project that comes through your bench is always something new. You could be doing a refret on 5 guitars in a row. Each guitar you're going to have to treat a little bit differently because each guitar is going to react a little bit differently.
Absolutely.
I was working on a refret this morning that has turned into a bit of a basket case just due to the fretboard being dried out and lots of wood wanted to chip out. So it's a slow process, but
Fair enough.
You deal with it.
Yeah, it's a smile. The smile on the face says it all. What kind of advice would you have for maybe people who want to get into guitar making, and maybe that's like their calling, like you had, but maybe they haven't gotten that shot yet where they can go to like, oh, I've worked at Gibson, I worked at Fender, or maybe they're just getting out of guitar crafting college, or maybe they're just dreaming about it. What would be your advice?
Put your ego aside. It's definitely one thing that was quick for me to learn. Having an ego when it comes to guitar repair can be a bit of a detriment. Like if you go into something being like, oh yeah, I can take care of it, no problem, and you're not being cautious, or you're just being a little bit too headstrong, things can go wrong. So putting your ego aside is definitely a big thing. And then also being open to learn.
Yeah.
There's not a day where I don't learn something new.
I could imagine, especially in that world. Like, I mean, I know how to do a restring. I can restring a guitar all day, but when it comes to anything electrical, I'm like, nope, that's over my head. But
yeah,
but that's I think that's good advice, because a lot of people who come into this industry, especially younger guys, like, I mean, guitar luthier, or even just guitar craft in general is an older man's game. I mean, even when I worked at Gibson, in the building I worked at, a lot of the guys were in their 60s or their late 50s. Like, so it is cool though if you're in the area and ever go work at Gibson, if you go to custom shop and stuff like that, there are a lot of younger guys who are getting into this, which is super cool. Because I feel like for the last few years, maybe I'm wrong, and please, if I'm wrong, put it in the comments. But I feel like the last few years, the guitar has been kind of low-key dying.
I don't know. It seems like it's not, I wouldn't say it's dying for sure. I would say that the music scene is changing.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like there's not a day where I don't go by hearing music that's got a guitar in it in some sense.
Fair enough.
I mean, because even MIDI these days, someone could be playing a guitar and then running it as MIDI.
That's true.
So like, I wouldn't say it's dying, or at least that maybe that's just me being hopeful. I would say it's definitely become less popular.
Yeah.
You don't always see kids running around being like, "Hey, I want to be a guitar player." Yeah.
Or I want to work on building guitars and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I have a hot take on that.
Oh.
I think it's because there's no new Guitar Hero.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree. I mean, I know a lot of people sit here and say, like, what about Jake Kiska from Greta Van Fleet? What about these guys? there are very, very good guitar players out there. Don't get me wrong, even modern. As two guitar players who are sitting here who still very much actively play, there are very good guitar players out there. But there are very, very little guitar players who are guitar heroes. And when you look at the 60s to the 90s, all these guitar players who devoted their lives and lived and breathed by the fretboard. That's a good title right there.
Yeah.
Live and breathe by the fretboard. Man, someone jot that down.
Great title.
You know, I feel like and maybe that is the change in the industry where, 40 years ago, the stuff that we're talking about was like was tech industry breaking stuff. Like we're not, like I feel like even today a band going on tour is not as remotely interesting as it was when like 30 years ago. Like that was cool. If a new rock band was coming to town, you wanted to hear it because you wanted to be the first person to know them.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, trying to drag someone out to a show that they've never heard the band before is almost like you need to like literally promise them they're going to win a fortune going in. And it's the reality. I mean, even if you don't know the band, how often are you ready to go out and listen to somebody unless it's a tribute band or something?
Absolutely.
Which is crazy,
Yeah.
And the reason why I mentioned too with the guitar thing on the decline is I feel like even the younger kids I've been watching lately, they come into the studio and we always ask them like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are like social media influencer,
Sure.
YouTuber, TikToker, and it really hits me, like not in a bad way, like not like you dang kids. It's like even though maybe there's part of me that thinks that way, but it just reminds me that this generation that's coming up right now, they're so used to guitars being a thing. They're so used to music just kind of being a background noise in a lot of ways, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's shifting.
Yeah.
It goes through cycles. It's just like everything, just like fashion, pop culture in general. It goes through cycles. So maybe we're just in that down period.
Yeah.
And maybe we just need the next Kurt Cobain to come out and start yelling at us with some long hair and making us feel good again.
We definitely need to get to that point again where it's not so much about the cover music scene, because even on like TikTok and stuff like that, if I don't really use TikTok all that often, but when I do go on there, it's like a lot of these bands that are doing really well are usually the guys who are just doing, here's Paranoid for the 100th time,
Sure.
Here's Pour Some Sugar on Me done on a kazoo for the 1,000th time. And it's like, and it gets 100 million views, but the same, and then like that's great, good for them. Like they're doing something awesome. They're making money off music. Good for you. And I hope everybody knows that everyone deserves to make money off their music. But at the same time, what happened to the love of original music? Hearing somebody have a new story to tell, like it's like movies. Like, yeah, there's a lot of sequels out there, but who doesn't love a new original idea that's fresh?
Sure.
But I feel like it doesn't translate to music all that well, all that often.
That could just be the day and age we're in.
Yeah.
It's maybe once we kind of push out of this short 5 to 30-second instant like gratification of a clip, and maybe things will start to shift out of that.
It's kind of like going back to the Vine era where everything was like, you have 5 seconds before someone swipes on you, and it's like, well, how is anybody supposed to get you to stop in 5 seconds? Like that blows my mind.
It's tough. I do miss the Vine era though.
Who doesn't?
Vine was the best app.
Vine was the OG.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, like even though music may be heading to a new direction, we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
You have found a way to carve a path for yourself in this industry that's always ever changing, and it's actually a really cool career path that I feel like a lot of people don't know about, which is why I wanted you to come on this show, was because I think a lot of people think, oh, if I'm a guitar player, I guess I can just either play music for a living, write music for a living, or sell them, but that's really it. And it's like, no, there's a full career path for you to actually build these things and have passion for what you want, like you love. And if anyone's in the Nashville area, if you need guitar repair, Daniel Louise is your guy. Like he's worked on a lot of my guitars, and I'm very I could do my own guitar work, but I would trust him with any of my guitars to do anything on them.
Appreciate that.
And I guess for people who maybe want to reach out to you for work or want to follow you, because you're still doing music too, right?
Yeah, still playing in a couple bands right now. I've kind of tried to pick and choose my where I'm playing out, just because guitar repair takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
So trying to make sure all the projects that I'm playing in are ones that I really want to be a part of.
Absolutely. And what are those bands?
Right now I'm in this like weird funk soul blues band called the Lot Lizards.
Love that.
It's super fun little project. I play bass in a band called Cash Prizes.
That's also a cool name.
Yeah, great name. Nick Ellers is the
oh, Nick. Okay, yeah, I know
you know
Nick.
Nick. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's it's his project, so I'm kind of helping him out on that front. I also play bass for a folk singer-songwriter called Brock Taylor.
I feel like I know Brock Taylor. I've heard that name. Very cool, man. Like I said, I knew you had been staying busy recently. I've been following you on the Instas and all that stuff, and I was like, I just love seeing you play, man, because you are so good at what you do, and I know you dedicated most of your career path to guitar craft now, but I just knew how much of a monster guitar and bass player you were, and every time I see a live shot of you, I'm like, I just put a smile on my face. I'm like, he's doing it. He deserves it. He's doing it. I love it. But where can people follow you if they want to follow you?
Check out my Instagram at just Daniel Louise. Pop it in the bio if you need to. But yeah, that's kind of, I don't really use social media to its full extent. I generally like to kind of keep myself off of it, but that's where I post all my little updates and follow along with guitar repairs and things like that.
And if you ever need examples of his work, you can shoot me a DM and I'll send you my SG that he worked on. Well, Daniel, man, it has been so much fun having you on here, and thank you for just taking time out of your schedule to do this.
Absolutely, dude, anytime.
And honestly, again, please follow this guy. If you are a guitar player who needs guitar work in the Nashville area, or heck, maybe you're not in the Nashville area but are willing to come to Nashville or ship your guitar out here, Daniel is your guy. He will take care of that thing better than anyone else. And also, if you are in the Nashville area, go see this guy. Go see his live shows. Support local music. We need to do that again. But that's a story for another episode. Well, Daniel, thank you so much again for coming
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you all so much for joining us on the Creative Studios podcast. Tune in next week for a brand new episode, and we'll see you next time.